Good morning. That's right. Somebody said, mind my throat. It's just, this is the first words I speak in the morning. I should do my la, 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 la. Good morning. There is Jolene, and she's happy out. And there they all are. The bottle feeders are all fed. I think I knocked them out this morning. They're all just nicely calm. It's amazing. You should see when I come down, the clitter and the crack going on. And then it just all falls once they're all fed. There isn't a word that go out of anyone, as my mom would say. Look at Saoirse. How are you doing? And Pearl is all asleep. Well, I was going to have that gone now, of course. Grover was barking mad there, and I was going to give out to her, and I was saying, what are you barking at? But there was crows around. So, of course, that was the problem. You'd swear I had them all milked now. I have Susan to milk, and then Solace, Margot, and Nettles, just to drop off those because they're feeding. There's Ruby now, not a word out for her. There's the Ruby Wax Katie. There she is. She's got such a heavy coat. Yes. And that is Max there. look at Jolene chewing the cud. It is all like a quick step. Yeah. Look at her. It is, so I'm not too sure. Is this it? On Esha, on scaribin na gook. There's a bit of weather at the end of April. Now, it's not bad weather. It's kind of dry, a wind, kind of almost like a kind of a blackening wind, I think. But it brings the cuckoo. Now, what direction I have to figure that out. It is all the Irish Times, the readers of the Irish Times have discovered the scaribin. It's like the brought breed, everybody talks about it. And so it's this end of, now apologies if anybody's reading the Irish Times. But, there we go, look at Ruby. Ruby, we're going to come through the camera. And I filmed myself last night feeding them. So I'll get that up on YouTube later if I get a chance. Because there's so much going on. That's it, Jovina's away up out of the way. We must check on her, see how she's doing. Yes. So yeah, this wind, there's a kind of, you can see them all slightly hunched up, slightly just looking for shelter, except for Ruby. So I think this might be the scaribin. Garav is rough. Don't be rough. Garav, don't be so rough. Glengarriff is a rough. They're giving out. To see who's giving out. There's nobody giving out. They're all right. And there's Limal. Now we don't see much of Limal. 'Tis Howard really, because Howard is bottle fed and Limal drinks off the mom, off Solace. And how are you doing, bud? Doing all right. He's a bit shyer now than the brother. There's no shy about Ruby, that's for sure. So the story this morning is all about a little village, and there was a shoemaker, and there was a butcher, and there was a shopkeeper, and there was a tailor, and there was a candlestick maker. They were all there, and they had their own little business, and everything was going great. And then a new shoemaker arrived, and by golly, this fellow was a Mickey Dazzler. Oh my goodness, he had everything. He worked for royalty, he worked in Italy, he worked in America. No matter what anybody said about shoes, this fella had it done 3 times. He had so many years experience making shoes. And he was all talk about the shoes he could make and the shoes he would make and everything. And my God, the villagers were enthralled with this new fella, this new shoemaker, and all the shoes he could make. And they worked for royalty, and he worked abroad, and he had so many years' experience. And they were all saying, and the wife of the shoemaker that was in the village, the old shoemaker, She was saying, you'd want to do something. You'd want to up your game. We'll have no business for the winter when people are getting their boots made. And the shoemaker said, don't worry at all. And the wife said, well, I have to worry. They're all going on about him and how great he is. And he worked for royalty and he worked abroad and he's so many years' experience. He's done everything. Who's this now? Oh, there's Harold. Ruby. Mike, I tell you, Ruby has great teeth anyway. That's for sure. And they were going on anyway. And the wife was saying, you have to do something. And the shoemaker, then it was coming into the winter. And of course, everybody was so excited. They started ordering their shoes off the new fella. The fella that worked for royalty and worked abroad and had so many years' experience. And could make shoes out of dock leaves for you. And it was going on anyway. And the old shoemaker would go down into his workshop and work as if nothing had happened. And the wife was fierce worried. She said, oh my God, we'll have no money for the winter. He'll take over. We'll have to move and find a new town. And the shoemaker said, we won't have to move anywhere. And it went on anyway. And the winter came. And they were looking for their boots for the winter off the new shoemaker. And he was saying, oh, I didn't get my leather from Italy. It's only the best leather I use and there's none around. And I'll need some more months waiting for the leather to come. But they're saying, but the winter is coming. We can't wait. We need our boots. And he said, maybe if I got some money off you, like a deposit or something. So they paid their deposit anyway. And your man went on and he had as much talking and waiting. And he kept talking about the boots he was going to make for everybody. And the first rains hit. And they had no boots. Well, do you know what? They kicked the new shoemaker out. They kicked him out of town. They kicked him because he probably never worked for royalty. They kicked him because he had no years' experience, maybe of codding people rather than making shoes. And they kicked him out because he worked abroad. And they said, you're useless. You're no good to us. You're only all talk. And when they came back, the old shoemaker had made a pair of boots for everybody in the town. And sometimes when we see something new coming, we get very worried about ourselves and how are we going to be treated. I suppose the prodigal son is a bit like that, when really you see him come and you see them go. Now, we better milk Susan before Ruby eats my hand. I'll have no Tom, Ruby. Slán and Ishgachtainna, have a lovely day. Tá sé go hálan an seo. It's beautiful here. Ach bháin an gcuaigh. But it's not, it's a wind that doesn't make me cross now. It's a kind of, oh! But they're supposed to bring the cuckoo. So beidir is féidir an gúch a cloisiant. We might be able to hear the cuckoo. Slán and Ishgachtainna, go raibh maithfidh ar fad.